Speaker, before I commence my address, I would wish to seek some assistance from you with regard to certain matters which have taken place in these in this House. My concern, Mr. Speaker, is what is the position with regard to a member of this House making an unfounded allegation against another member and withdrawing that allegation after some discussion. Is that the end of the matter? Because my real concern is this, that notwithstanding the withdrawal of that allegation, the allegation has been seen by many persons who've watched the proceedings on television. They have heard the statements on radio. They have seen headlines in local newspaper in which it would suggest that the statement itself had not been withdrawn. And I can assure you, Mr. Speaker, that in the majority of instances, those who had seen that headline would not have finished reading the story. They would have taken the statement set out in that headline as an indication of what was said. They would not bother to read it, much less read to the end, where there's a sentence which says the allegation was withdrawn. Now, I can envision a situation, Mr. Speaker, where, for instance, one could come to this House and make another outrageous allegation, as was made against me. If, for instance, I, in the same way that Elizabeth accepted the input from some third party, some rumor, come to this House, and I indicate that I have been informed that some member of this House had, for instance, married somebody of the same sex. Now, I can imagine there would be a storm in the House. I would be questioned. I would have to ask to provide evidence of this. And if we continued in the same light as Elizabeth, I could rely on the statement which had been made to me by third parties, and without any evidence whatever, I could come here and make that allegation. I have no copy of a marriage certificate or whatever you'd call it. I have no photographs. I have no evidence. And yet I could come here and make that statement, and then whatever person I made that statement toward would have the embarrassment of having it shown on television, shown on the radio, headlines in the newspaper tomorrow. It just does not seem adequate, Mr. Speaker, that one simply withdraws that statement and that is an end of it. So I would be grateful, Mr. Speaker, if you could give me some guidance with regard to that matter.
The member from Montagu, perhaps you would like to suggest the purview of the chair in light of what the fourth estate does within the purview of its own responsibilities. The member, in your case, the member withdrew the statement. You got essentially your day in court. You are in this place, and you have unfettered access to speak with freedom of speech, and you speak directly to your constituents. Thank you. And you have that unfettered access, and so the chair will deal with matters in this place, and when appropriate, the chair will ask for certain words and statements to be expunged from the record. The chair did that. The chair was fair, and so I will leave it as that, and I will ask you to continue your presentation.
Well, I would only say this, Mr. Speaker. Certainly. Maybe for all of us. No, it may well be that members feel that this is a way to say something that really is very mischievous, and it's out there, and that's the end of it. You can deny it as much as you want, yet it's still in the minds of many people. That is what happened.
The member for Montagu, just take your seat for a second, please. The chair understands quite clearly your concern, and the chair also takes issue with quote-unquote mischievous statements or reckless statements. Member for Elizabeth. And the chair will not stand for any reckless statements, and the chair disapproves of it. You now have the floor. I would advise you to continue to make your contribution.
Well, Mr. Speaker, if I just may address one further question. Is there then an issue between withdrawing and expunging it from the record? Because surely if it was expunged from the record, then there should have been no publication whatsoever of that allegation.
The chair at this point is not prepared to deal with precedents of the past. And the chair has also heard in his own experience items that were expunged from the chair, but yet it still appeared in the newspapers. That is a matter that needs to be taken up. But at this point in time, the chair would prefer that you continue with your presentation.
I wonder if I could assist the chair.
Please. The chair recognizes the member for Baines and Grandstown.
Yes. Surely, if the chair ordered a matter expunged, it ought not to be published by the newspapers.
Agreed.
So if I heard you say that you ordered that it be expunged?
Yes.
He said. But if you did order that, then it seems to me that you should give some instructions to the newspapers, not only for that event, but for any future events, because they would be in breach of the rules of Parliament to publish a matter that has been ordered expunged by the Speaker.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. The chair takes that under advisement. Thank you.
I appreciate saying that.
The chair recognizes the member for North Andros and the Berries. Member for Montagu, could you take your seat? The chair continues to do that. And you're sitting next to the member. Central and Southern neutral. Beg your pardon.
The reality is that if the matter is defamatory, once the matter has been expunged from the records of the House, if the honourable member is damaged in any way by the article, he has his ability to go to court. It would not be a matter that is privileged, because it's a misquote of what happened in the House. And that really is the answer to it.
Thank you very much.
But the press should be very careful about what they print.
No, point taken.
He didn't? Case said if he did.
No, that's my recollection. But I don't think it.
I think in this particular case, we would request at Hansard to get the specifics, but in that particular case, the statement was ordered withdrawn, and that was accepted by the member for Montagu, not expunged. The reality is, when it is expunged, then the press ought not to carry it, but in this particular case, it was ordered withdrawn.
Well, there then seems to be that distinction, Mr. Speaker, but we still get back to the basic issue as to when that statement is made. It is not the printing of it in the newspaper that has caused the damage. It is the statement in this House, which has been broadcast on television and on radio, and there was no substance for that allegation. That is what concerns me, Mr. Speaker. I rise, Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Montagu constituency to make my contribution to the budget debate. And I am indeed indebted to those constituents for the support and the faith that they have placed in me to represent them not only in this House, but outside of this House. I look forward to serving them and working with them, and together with their support, Montagu will become a constituency that we can all be proud of. Now, I find it unfortunate, continuing on that matter I mentioned earlier, Mr. Speaker, was that I do find it of concern that members of the other side would consider it appropriate to make outrageous statements such as that without the slightest shred of evidence to support that allegation. To suggest, as Elizabeth did, that I spat on his father, the former member of Parliament, is an outright lie, and it is reprehensible that even after withdrawing that statement, he still was heard to mumble under his breath, "It's still true." I have never done anything disrespectful toward Mr. Pinder. I've always been father of Elizabeth. I've always been respectful to him and cordial. And then for Cat Island to suggest that I acted in a hostile manner towards Mr. Pinder when I gave evidence in an election petition in connection with a matter concerning Marvin Pinder and Noel Roberts, I can only suggest that Cat Island's memory fails him. I merely was giving evidence in a case where persons living out of the constituency were encouraged to come and vote in North Eleuthera, and a prominent seamstress was encouraged to vote by a friend on the basis that she was blind. That is what we were dealing with in court. We were not engaged in a spitting contest. Statements such as that made by Elizabeth, Mr. Speaker, make it abundantly clear to me that nothing changed as regards some of the members of the other side. It is difficult to remain respectful, Mr. Speaker, of someone who has made a bold-faced lie and places that person in the same position as some talk show hosts who are themselves loose with the truth. In light of such a dishonorable allegation, it is a challenge for me to continue to view that member as an honorable person. I do not spit on the ground, Mr. Speaker, much less on a person. And when we returned to the House today, I was assuming that perhaps Elizabeth had seen the error of his ways and would come to this House and make an apology, not only to myself, but to this House. I'm disappointed that he has not done that. Elizabeth has no doubt achieved his purpose and has left out there that scandalous lie which some people will believe, notwithstanding his withdrawal. Elizabeth comes from an ambitious family, Mr. Speaker. Elizabeth's father wrote in the yearbook when he graduated from Queen's College that his ambition was to be the UBP Premier. Several persons have informed me that Elizabeth has similar aspirations and has stated to them that his ambition is to become a PLP Prime Minister. And if that remains his ambition, then I can only say to him, Mr. Speaker, I would suggest he pursue that dream. But I would advise that if you want to have a chance to achieve that goal, then do not bear false witness. It is no doubt, however, apparent to Elizabeth that notwithstanding his withdrawal of the untruth, some persons who heard this allegation will nevertheless continue to believe it, as others may not have even heard his retraction. In the midst of persons like Elizabeth that make it difficult to support any worthwhile proposals which the PLP may have simply because of the unacceptable behavior displayed by them. So, for example, where Foxhill spoke of speeding up the process for processing work permit applications throughout the Bahamas, addressing spousal permits, facilitating Bahamians traveling, these were some issues that have some merit. But then he blew it by seeking to isolate me from other members of this House by suggesting that I have some connection with the UBP because I revealed a proposal for the development of Grantstown, which was handed to the PLP in 1967, which placed me separate and apart from other members. I find it extraordinary that Fox Hill sees color when he sees a proposal to develop the Grantstown area by the provision of a proper sewage system, drinking water, proper road system and sidewalks, recreation areas and parks. The proposal would have been an enormous benefit to the underprivileged who live in that area, an area which has supported the PLP for more than 45 years. Was that proposal of no interest to the PLP because it was prepared at the direction of the UBP, or was it rejected or ignored by them because it was not considered to be in their interest? Instead of adopting the proposal, the PLP turned a blind eye and ignored the very people they claim to love. We believe in Bahamians.
Members.
In case Fox Hill does not realize
Members.
that when I look at my skin, Mr. Speaker, I don't see black or white. I see Bahamian. Members on the other side need to understand that. It is unfortunate that at this stage of our country's development, Fox Hill should still seek to raise the race card purely in order to cause political mischief.
Member.
I thought that Fox Hill...
Point of order. Member for Fox Hill. Chair recognizes.
I was simply content to sit here with some amusement over this issue, because the central allegation I made was simply this. I expressed this fact. There is a cultural difference that I saw between what transpired in his statement to the House and the 37 of us. There are 37 of us and one of him. Now, when you look across 37, there are 38 members, there are 37 of us on one cultural side and one on the other cultural side. That's the allegation I made. And I said nothing, I don't know where race comes into this at all. I said that he defended the dreaded UBP. He denied that fact. But he comes here today and he's defending them outright. And again, I don't know what color has to do with that. And I would suggest that since he's in the withdrawing mood, that he should withdraw any such allegation against me. Because the only person who's raised the race card in here is him.
Understood. Do you have a point of order, member for Kalani? Your point of order.
Yeah. Is the member saying that because a different race or color presented a proposal, then that's a problem?
No, member for Kalani?
The member never spoke anything but racism.
Perhaps.
He's just said the point at which I intervened was the point at which he got up and said that I raised the race card. Who raised the race card in here?
Understood.
Who raised the race card in here? Never once did I raise that as an issue. You're disgraceful.
Member for Fox Hill.
You're absolutely disgraceful.
Member for Fox Hill. Member for Fox
And
Hill.
you always do it.
Member for Fox
The
Hill.
point is, if you are in a chess game and you are now in checkmate or check because you come and raise this silly allegation.
Member for Fox Hill, address the chair. And member for Montagu.
Sick of this.
Member for Montagu, please resume your presentation and seek to bring some clarity to your presentation so that it's clearly understood, because the member for Fox Hill raised an issue with it.
Mr. Speaker, it's quite clear to me and many persons outside of this House that that is clearly where Fox Hill was going.
Member for Montagu,
Mr. Speaker,
member for Fox Hill.
I made a clear statement. It was a cultural issue. I outlined 3 examples of a difference between the way he approached his statement and the rest of us. 3 clear, cogent points, which are cultural in nature. That's how I described it. And then I said, in a political sense, he took us back to pre-1967, which he came here and reaffirmed today. Nothing about race. Nothing about race. And the first time race was raised in here was with this honorable gentleman today.
the point is made by the member for Fox Hill, understood. Member for Montagu, the member for Fox Hill clearly denies unequivocally that he did not speak to race. So the chair would suggest you not go in that direction.
And back off from that. I'm saying, sir, that he
I
should
understand.
formally withdraw that statement against me raising the race card. I did no such thing.
The chair understands.
And go further, that the matter, if he refuses, the chair should exercise its discretion to expunge such a thing from the record.
Member for Montagu.
Mr. Speaker, I have not raised the race issue. My learned friend. Member for Fox Hill seems to adopt the view that simply because a proposal was created by the UBP, that somehow it makes it racist to suggest that maybe the party who now cares so much about Bahamians would have done something to implement that improvement to Grantstown as was proposed at that time.
Mr. Speaker,
Now,
again, I am insisting I made no such allegation about race. I don't know why you keep bringing it up. I made no such allegation.
Clearly. Member for Montagu, the chair would seek request that you withdraw the statement
Mr. Speaker,
accusing the member for Fox Hill of introducing the race card.
Speaker, what we're dealing with is my understanding and that of many persons outside of this House who have said that to me.
Your understanding of...
Anybody. So I'm not, this is the way that it appears to me and it appears to many others. So I stand on my position.
Member for Fox Hill. No, member for Fox Hill.
This honorable gentleman just said one specific allegation. That allegation is I raised the race card. You did not. I did no such thing. No such thing.
Member for... Understood.
And that I wish withdrawn.
This honorable House needs to move on.
Expunged. That is what I'm asking this chair to do.
We need to move on. This is a waste of taxpayers' time if we're going to continue along this line. We must do better than this. Member for Montagu, withdraw the statement. The chair requests that you withdraw the statement.
Mr. Speaker, the statement that I made is my understanding of what Fox Hill intended by the various things that he has said during his address. That is my view. That is my view.
Your view...
It is surprising. It is surprising.
Are you reading the mind of the member from Fox Hill? Are you suggesting his motive? We are honorable men and women in this place, member for Montagu.
Show some leadership, Kalani. Show some leadership. People say you
You need to draw your sit down. Respect the speaker.
Member for Montagu.
Mr.
Help this House, member for Montagu.
Speaker, I
You have a presentation to make. The chair requests that you continue your presentation.
withdraw that, but that is my understanding of what.
It needs to be unqualified, the member for Montagu. It needs to be unqualified. The withdrawal must be unqualified. The chair will not accept that.
Mr. Speaker, we had an instance where an unfounded allegation was made against me by a member of this House. And even after withdrawing that, Mr. Speaker, he's said, and again he repeated it tonight, it's true.
He didn't. The member for Elizabeth, please. The member for Elizabeth did not say it on the floor of this House. He was unrecognized. The statement was unqualified, unequivocal withdrawal. The chair requests you do the same. And I would request that the timekeeper continues to keep the time moving.
We will show it, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I am asking you, sir, to have that remark expunged from the record of this House. This is an allegation which is too easily made and you cannot disprove a negative. And I have no intention to go fighting that nonsense spewed out here today. Not in the 21st century.
The chair requests that the remark made of introducing the chair orders that the remark made by the honourable member for Montagu be expunged from the record. Member for Montagu, kindly continue.
Mr. Speaker.